2019 Mountain Dew GSL Season 2. Codex. Renaissance.
Right here, right now.
Welcome back. We just had a fantastic series. FanTaSy 2-0ing Rogue with style. Up next, we're going to have Leenock versus Stats.
Yeah, that was a really cool series. I am so hyped about FanTaSy right now. Wow. But these other two players, two of my absolute favorites here. Leenock with his 20th casual Codex was in ridiculously good shape since about the end of last year. Hasn't had it all come together with a great result as of yet, but still playing very well. I feel like he's gone a little bit more aggressive than we saw last year recently. He's been playing a lot of the online cups, getting very far in Lima leagues and whatnot very regularly. But we'll see how he does here against Stats, who generally is the best Protoss in the world. I don't think so right now. I think you can easily put him, he'll never be outside the top 5, but he had a rough last season. He did eliminate Maru from Super Tournament.
That's right.
Which I actually didn't think that was too surprising.
No, it's not the craziest thing that's ever happened, that's for sure. You know, with Stats here, again, the start of 2019 has been a little bit jarring for this guy. He's lost a lot of games, I should say he's been knocked out of tournaments way sooner than we're used to seeing, so I don't know if that's a fluke or it's going to continue to be a trend.
You expect him in the round of 4.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to make the round of 4 at least.
And this guy was like living proof of the fact that Protoss can play defensive and conservative and just sort of outlast you and get a win. Let's also keep in mind Leenock in the very, very early days of the game, one of the most dominant players. He's consistently been in GSL for longer than almost anybody, but still hungry to try to prove himself in this tournament. He has not managed in recent years to get as far as he's wanted.
게임이 시작됩니다.
Titan EX1. Leenock. Splice. Stats.
At least big cheers in the audience for Leenock.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people showed up for him today.
He should have a lot of fans. He's actually quite a charismatic, nice guy. Streams a fair amount. Very high-level Zerg player, especially as of late. You know, he was very, very aggressive for a long time. And then last year I felt like he really filled in a lot of his macro play. Although recently the games I've been catching of him are mostly highly aggressive, which I don't think I can blame him for too much because Terrans have gotten quite good at the late game against Zerg. And hey guys. All right.
Thanks for coming down, guys.
Yeah. But the meta right now for Protoss against Zerg is a very aggressive one, right? We're seeing a lot of Immortal plays, a lot of mass adept plays. I mean, obviously, charge lots are still around. Look at that. It's actually a lot closer than you would even imagine. Like
yeah, I actually thought Stats had been much more dominant in previous games, but yeah, 4-5 here. Just a slight favor for Stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see what kind of game we're going to get this time around. Now, the Protoss, I'm not saying the Stats has to do this, but we've seen, geez, he blocked that a lot of times. I usually don't even mention anything like that because we see that block go on so often, but he delayed that a lot longer than almost anybody else could have. So there's also a lot of timing attacks the Protoss can do, but it's not just about hitting them at a specific moment. It's the big question is usually what is the type of unit composition that Protoss has coming, and do you have the right tools necessary to stop it?
Yes, sir.
There are so many different timings for Protoss to do here. Now, that being said, Stats is not most known for doing these types of things. Generally, Stats kind of scouts out what his opponent's doing, and he likes to defend that, and then from there, in a longer game, he just kind of has more assets, he has more tools at his disposal, and he'll usually win from there.
Now, this game does look like it's going to be somewhat aggressive, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Let's see if he starts another Stalker immediately after this Stalker finishes. This is just a scouting adept, not going to do much else. Okay, Prism on the way. Let's see what this next unit is. Okay, it's going to be a Sentry. Now, obviously, we could see something like a Sentry Immortal push, something like that. But we've seen from stats. Let's see if he adds like 3 gates now. But definitely a build that's kind of popped up lately is a Warp Prism Stalker play where you go over and you can harass a little bit with the Stalkers and hit an Overlord, kill an Overlord or 2, clear a bit of creep, right? And then you can come back with a push later.
Right. And so he's trying to drive this Overlord out. Looks like the Overlord should be far enough away you can't really get over there. He might try anyways. This is always kind of annoying for the Protoss to try to get away with. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to get under that. It helps a lot if you can get rid of that first Overlord, but Leenock did a good job getting that away, and with the Zerglings below it, there's no reason to try to put units underneath that.
Mm-hmm. Immortal on the way.
Yep.
A couple more gases coming up right now. We haven't seen any sort of explosion of gateways as of yet. Still probing up. Nothing in the prism.
That's right. It's completely empty.
And
now
adept.
one Adept is being made. An Adept.
An Adept. Another Immortal. So this is looking more and more like it is going to be an aggressive play.
And so that Warp Prism's coming out. He has one Observer over here to spot. It looks like Leenock is not aware of that spine on him right now. Here come those 2 Adepts. Now, he doesn't seem like he even wants to commit that much for these 2 Adepts, so, but we are going to be building up to some kind of an attack pretty soon here. Oh, hold on a second. A Forge now.
A Forge and a Twilight.
Yeah, so maybe he won't be attacking for a little bit. Maybe instead he's going to try to play a much longer game. Again, that would make sense for stats. I thought he was going to do some kind of attack.
I'm quite interested because the way that he's played this and the fact, like, it definitely, the non-stop Immortals really truly makes this look like it's going to be very aggressive.
Yeah, but then when you see a Forge, okay, he is going to try to come out here.
Gates. I just want to see if he's going to get Blink. I know he's going to get +1 attack.
There it is.
Okay, Charge coming out.
Okay, now he's going to try to float this Overlord in here and get a drop off. And this one Stalker is not going to be enough to take this on before the Zerglings can start to get unloaded and dumped into this location over here. So the rest of the army is now moving up. Looks like the one Stalker is going to go down. Now it's this Immortal being surrounded.
Oh, you don't want to be losing an Immortal to this.
Yeah, you know, he can't actually move it just yet. Now he can. It was not surrounded. But that was actually a lot of damage on that. When you consider the fact that generally
could kill the Zerg army most of the time.
Yeah, that unit is the most important unit to have in a fight. The fact that it took that much damage, that might pan out into a disaster later on.
Do you see how weird this is right now? That he literally, it's both like weird but almost expected. He chrono boost out of Prism. His first tech building was a Robo. He chronoed out of Prism, and I have been staring, and he has not missed a beat other than this one Observer that came right after the Prism making Immortals. Like, he's up to 5 Immortals, I want to say. Yeah, that's his 5th Immortal just popped out.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because, again, we normally expect there to be lots of aggression with this, but I guess what he's doing is he's really banking them for later on. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, my God.
Oh, get it?
What in the world?
What? Did it get away? Okay.
That is so funny. Okay, anyways. Aspire is on the way. That's probably a good call, considering there is infinity Immortals on the map.
I don't know about Zerg moving out with this army. I think this is going to be too dangerous.
I think he's just looking for like a couple free kills here and there. He's got a lot of Raptors. Like, look at that. Oh, solid.
Yeah, good snipe.
All right.
Backs up, taking out Archons or Immortals anytime like that is going to be worthwhile.
That was a fist bump right there.
By the way, we have stats beginning to push, so you can see that Leenock's going to back up. He needs to be ready to defend this. And this is going to be the climax right here. Does he have enough to push in here? Now, there's so many Immortals. That's kind of the linchpin of this strategy, specifically with this build.
Some pretty good force fields overall.
I think
Leenock
this
trying to
game's
micro
just
back.
over. I think there's way too much here.
It's so many Immortals.
Yeah,
it's just so many, and they haven't
insane.
even taken damage.
Yeah, he's actually, Vials are just landing on them, and it's fine.
Doesn't matter.
Problem, too, is that the Zerg is actually on the corner of the map now. He can't even go anywhere else to hide, really.
Yeah.
I
The
think
Immortals
that,
are gonna
that's
get
just
him.
it. Okay, just really clean, nice opening there. Very straightforward attack. He got in there. That was an odd build, though. That was actually one of the harder things. Even though that would, like, a lot of the ideas were standard, that was actually a little bit harder to cast even than some of the other more standard games. It looked like it was going to be something else, and he just kept staying back. Then he got his expansion up. He got the forge up.
Well, it screws with Leenock, right?
Yeah.
Leenock sees that early prism. Okay, he's looking at it just like we are and thinking, okay, well, what's coming? Something's coming. And he's making all these roaches and ravagers instead of drones. He's not teching up into hydras or anything like that either. And so here we are. His stats just moves out with like 5 immortals and bashes him with that +1 attack.
Okay, we're going to go to map number 2 now, Kairos Junction. Stats looking very scary. I guess a lot of that is that you send the Warp Prism out and you just know that because of how aggressive Protosses are normally, the Zerg stops making drones, gets the units to defend it, and then nothing happens. And behind that, you've got upgrades, you've got more workers, you're taking a third base, and then you come out. I mean, he just smashed him at that point in time. All right, game 2's ready. Make those sound effects show.
Titan EX1, Leenock.
It's the face of a man that just lost to 5 immortals.
Splice, stats.
It's good to see Stats playing well. I'm actually very curious. You know, if Stats can win here, I would love to see this FanTaSy Stats match.
Well, if he wins here, you're absolutely going to see this. This match.
I think it would be very cool how that would play out. Because,
yeah.
to be honest, guys, I actually thought when I was coming to the studio today, I thought FanTaSy was going to lose,
Well,
and then possibly lose in the losers match. We'd never get to see Stats and FanTaSy face off. So,
in my opinion, he was coming in tonight the least likely to advance, but as it is a group of death, I'm not going to be too surprised. He's had really great results online in a lot of qualifiers and stuff for quite some time now. But then when we see him play, it's like good, but not quite good enough, you know?
right.
Like he puts out some good games, but it's like he hasn't quite found his stride yet. Whereas at least game 1 against Rogue, I mean, game 2 was kind of an interesting weird build versus weird build situation, which made it kind of a fun game. But game 1, it felt like he was more filled out, you know?
Yeah.
It's like he came home from college and his mom was like, "Oh, that shirt fits you perfect now." Like, it's just very, very nice late game and everything. Good decision making all over the place. Anyways.
So let's keep in mind, we probably will not have the same thing come from Stats here. I mean, there's a reason why we want you to play several games to decide who's actually the best, right? Yeah. And so Stats should be mixing it up. We might have the same theme. It might be just very safe play with a strong attack later on, but he might order things in a very different way. Now, already we're seeing that it was not a Stalker first, it's a Sentry first.
No Adept at all.
That's right.
So that's definitely quite a difference as well.
And so when you're the Zerg player, you're looking at this and saying, okay, he spent a lot of gas on that, not a lot of minerals. What else could he possibly be getting behind us? It is a robotics facility again, by the way. Doesn't mean it's going to be the exact same thing, but closer than I expected. I actually thought he was going to go to Stargate and do something totally different.
Well, I guess not this time, but with that Robo coming up in another Sentry, it looks like
you're kidding me. Okay, I'm sorry. Artosis is like trying to explain this game in a technical way, and I'm like, oh my god, it didn't die.
Yeah. Single hit? No.
No.
It's not fair.
It's the second time that lives.
Yeah, more gates being added.
And
very
so,
much on top of making sentries.
There's nothing that lets us know exactly what the Zerg's doing just yet. He's just making a lot of workers, continuing to develop economically. And we have 5 gateways coming down now, Artosis, with the Warp Prism. So this is going to be a very specific attack.
Look at a few probes.
This is going to bloody the noses of the Zerg real quick here. He's going to come out. He's going to come out swinging.
Might break his jaw with this one.
That's right, man. This is, okay.
So we're going to be on about 6 gates, Prism, no Immortals. This is going to be Sentry, Stalker, Adept,
now
maybe a couple Zealots.
Keep in mind that War Prism came out in the first game that they played against each other, and he didn't do much with it. This is the opposite. So some of this is going to look the same. This is where you have build orders that complement each other as you go on in a series, because it looks like he's doing the exact same thing in game 1, and then all of a sudden there's going to be this huge explosion, and that comes all the way down to the fact that there were Adepts. Oh, okay, now he's shown it. All right. So now you know this is for real. Now there's a bunch of Zerglings being made, but with these force fields here, he can kind of carve up the map how he wants.
It looks like he's got the Zealots to help fight those initial Zerglings that you're always going to see, and now starting to warp in Stalkers. Those will help more against the Queens and Roaches. Of course, he's built up a decent amount of force fields. Brings up his single Adept for good luck.
Okay, some force fields are coming down. Now, the War Prism is still taking a little bit of damage. He's going to have to be careful with that. If you lose that War Prism, there's no way to get anything else to reinforce this.
It seems like Leenock is fighting it much better than that last push, at least, but more Stalkers aren't coming in. Gets a Prism, and that means that this push will not end up ending the game.
Yeah, it certainly should not. I gotta say, Stats was a little bit reckless with that. You need to have that much further back. I mean, we saw Deer doing this, for instance, just a few days ago, and it was one of the reasons why he was able to hold off so much. And now these Stalkers can't even get out. GG Stats just throws the game out, says, I can't do anything. That's it. We're gonna go to game 3. For how well that game 1 went for Stats, I'm a little bit shocked at the clumsiness of that attack there. Leenock knew what he had to do. You're looking at that War Prism when that fight goes down and saying, if I can kill that, the engine of the rush is gone.
I think what you said earlier on probably strikes true. It looked somewhat similar to game 1 with the Prism coming out. Leenock made a bunch of units when the Prism came out the first time, and there was not even anything in it, and a single Adept came out. So maybe Stats thought that Leenock would ignore it a little bit more, but Leenock made plenty of units here and just knocked it right down. He had plenty of Queens, too, which sniped the Prism. That's the real important part.
We're going to go to the map New Repugnancy. Now, keep in mind, in the losers section of this group, Group E, it's Rogue, the former world champion. You don't want to go down there. That's the Snarlack pit or whatever. Okay, you don't want to be down there.
You do not.
You want to be on floor 2 of Jabba the Hutt's palace here, Artosis.
Oh, that's the place to be.
That's the place to be. That guy parties, man. Let's not forget. Jabba loved to party in Star Wars. Okay?
He was a party dude.
Yeah. If you were in college, you would want to go to Jabba the Hutt's house on the weekends, okay? He had the craziest parties.
Oh, my gosh.
He had bands there.
Titan EX1, Leenock.
He had a monster that he would feed people he didn't like to. I wish I had that at my house, okay? Someone says a bad joke, I just hit a button on the floor and they fall down there and get eaten.
Splice, Stats.
What is Stats going to pull off this time? Is there any possibility that Leenock goes aggressive?
I would love to see an aggressive play from Leenock.
I think it's hard against Stats specifically, but Stats is using some reasonably sharp timings here, which I think the aggressive plays would have a slightly better time against, whereas the more passive Stats that wants to absorb everything is generally a very good matchup against aggressive play, right?
Well, Stats is the ultimate defender in StarCraft 2, right? I mean, he kind of holds everything off, but just in theory, it's always good to throw out an aggro build here and there. I mean, even Stats did that in game 2. It didn't work out because he didn't execute it correctly, but let's see.
Nothing out of the ordinary at the moment.
I expect a conservative game here from Stats this time around. I mean, after you mess up a rush like that, it's like, okay, back to what I know.
The basics.
Yeah.
Trying to think here, though, like, the aggressive plays have just been working so well against Zerg lately. And I kind of like that one that he was just making nonstop Immortals. It didn't feel like there was a massive hole in it at all.
Yeah.
You know, there was, for instance, because there's like no Archons in there or anything, there was actually a Spire on the way, but he just hits before that's really even a possibility. Hits 5 Immortals. He's like, oh my god, that's like half of 10 Immortals. Like, how could I ever lose this?
Once again, it's a Robo coming down here. You know, with the Robo play. Again, these builds all kind of interacting with each other in a series in a best of 3, right?
Yeah.
We saw in the game 1, he sent the Warp Prism out. He didn't do much with it and did a very conservative game. And then in game 2, he made it look like it was in game 1, but he was actually going for the aggressive play. So what does he do this time? I mean, there's no way for us to really tell yet. But again, we got to remember that Leenock's going to see yet again another Warp Prism. And this time he knows his stats is both capable of not doing anything with it and being, you know, it's more for show, or doing an all-in. So
it looks like the game 1 build so far. Look at these Lings sneaking out right now. They're about to have speed. Is he going to have that wall? Yes, he's going to have that wall.
Would have been pretty big if he had actually gotten over there and ran him over.
Yeah, not going to be able to do that, but can protect the Overlord. Leenock seems to have this timing down at least. You have your Speedlings over here to make sure your Overlord doesn't die to something that's not a Phoenix. Yeah, look at that, an Immortal on the way.
Wow, this is just like the Groundhog's Day cast here. Okay, the same thing's going to happen again here. The Lings protect the Overlord. The Overlord gets away.
I do like that Stats is making things look very, very similar across the games, because it just spreads confusion for your opponent.
I think this is one of the best ways to prepare for a best of 3 is to have you can open up with the same starting point, and then you have a fork in the road, and you've mapped out each different fork in your build order. The question that we're still waiting for is there a third fork in this opening, or does he want to go back to either the first or the second? There's something to the idea of him trying to do the exact same thing again from game 2 and just making it work this time.
You see his Overlord came back because the prism's out in the map?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
There's this weird mini game going on here. You're kidding me. Okay, he's gonna get it, all right. 5 gateways are coming down. Okay, so this is...
I love where he's putting the gates, too.
Yeah. So this attack's about to come out.
Hiding the Immortals.
Yep.
The last places you'll see them, they won't shoot at anything, and they're not on the side of the main or anything like that. Or Overlord might be able to sneak in.
Right now, it might look like there's no rush at all coming. Again, we saw him do this in game 1. There's a big attack that's about to pop out, though. Can't just go for 5 gates and be like, ah.
Yeah. Lings and Ravagers so far. This is what's being made.
Oh, I think Leenock knows. He's still continuing to just pump out Zerglings.
Yeah. 41 workers for Sats, 46 here for Leenock. Okay, Drop Lord on the way.
Now we want to watch the
nice counterplay.
We want to watch the Warp Prism in this fight. That last time Leenock just shot it out of the sky, and he couldn't reinforce it.
This is a different build from either of the games. He attacked with 5 Immortals in game 1. This is almost the same build, but he's attacking with 3. Slightly quicker gates too.
Okay, he's coming forward.
Goes on Brutal.
And he's going to try to just topple this area over here. Lings are coming in from behind.
Yeah, a bit of a counterattack.
Oh, there's Lings over here. Stats is going to start to lose all the workers inside of his main base. This push is continuing to come forward. This back and forth, this dance that the 2 armies are having. The force fields are coming down to trap some of these units on that side so they can't run away.
Yeah, this is a little bit tough, too, because he is attacking down a ramp right now, so it's hard for Leenock to always know where he is at.
Yeah, a bit of a bottleneck over there. I think he's done it. I think he broke him. I guess he held that off.
Probes, too.
Yeah.
Not a problem, though.
Okay, he's just going to shuffle the Immortals into the back, picking up the weaker units and cycling them away. Drones are being pulled here as well.
He's losing quite a bit, but he's still got the Immortals, which is pretty crucial.
Okay, Warp Prism is still at full health. 3 Immortals are out. All of them very low on HP. Picks up 1 and another. Oh my God, all 3 are so low, but they're still doing damage. They're still firing.
This next warping round is so brutal.
So sick. Okay.
These Zods can really help to protect everything.
I feel like Leenock just barely won the game, and then the Immortals are still alive and damage is still being done. In fact, 2 Stalkers also very low on HP.
Yeah, well, those Immortal Shields are regenerating, and he's going to have the reset on Hardened Shield, so I'm starting to feel this heavily for Stats.
Oh, the hatchery's going to go down. That's 1 production facility that's gone. And again, he's just dodging those biles. Those biles maybe would have been better served fired at the War Prism.
My gosh.
Oh,
So
man.
scary right now. Love the vials coming down. He's not hitting all of them, though. More and more Lings coming out, not wasting his time on any roaches.
Another Warpin comes down there on the lower part of the ramp. So far, Stats is, I think he's just on the cusp of winning this game.
If Leenock can hold on a little bit longer, it looks like he's setting up another Zergling drop. He already killed a lot of the probes.
Yeah, the problem is that I don't think that anything can stop this army. Protoss is just going to keep moving through here.
It is tough. Hurting the economy is like a roundabout way. Maybe he'll get less Warpins, but this attack from Stats.
There's another bottleneck over here, and I think that Zerg's going to try to capitalize on that by just slowing this down. There's one Adept over here to defend the workers. Stats has broken into this area. Again, a very, very conservative maneuver right now. Stats constantly backing up. He does not want to overextend. He knows he's moments away from winning this game. If he can just get the closer, maybe getting rid of this hatchery here.
Oh, the vials coming down. Most of them being dodged. A couple getting light connections there. Oh, a great couple force fields down here at the bottom.
GG. Okay, Stats wins that. Nicely done. And that means that Leenock is going to go down to the winners, and Stats is going to face off against a StarCraft 1 legend, FanTaSy, coming up next.
Wow, definitely Stats showing a lot of aggression in this series. That is kind of the strength of Protoss right now against Zerg. We've been seeing it so much as of late.
Beautifully done. I got to say, Stats looking very strong, Artosis.
Yeah, that looked really good. I'm excited to see what his PVT is going to look like and what FanTaSy is going to do, especially because Mech is a thing now against Protoss. We could see FanTaSy with a very different style that Stats has a hard time with.
We're going to go to FanTaSy versus Stats in just a little bit. Stick around.